welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it's my pleasure every week to get to bring to you some of our graduates. We talk to some who got their master's degrees here in our program. We talk to some who got a degree in digital media production, others who study communication studies. Today, we get to talk to a special guest. Meet Sarah Nail. Sarah got her degree in journalism and PR from our program and then stuck around and got her master's degree. And today she is a valuable partner with us as we have an articulation agreement with State Fair Community College, where she is program coordinator of digital media communication. Sarah, great to have you. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. As we record this, we're both on a snow day. It's a couple inches of or a little bit of ice, a couple inches of snow, and we're getting to do this from home. So great to have you with us today.
Thanks.
So you got your degree in journalism and public relations, correct?
That's right.
All right. Well, tell us about that. What brought you to UCM, and what made you want to get into journalism and PR?
Well, I think what brought me to UCM was that it was close to home. It was right down the road. I grew up in Sedalia, and so it was a great place for me to get a little bit away from home, but not so far away. And both of my parents are UCM alums, and so it seemed like a really great fit. I remember in high school doing a visit, and I had an opportunity to meet with the communication department, and I was offered a scholarship if I completed so many articles for the Mule Skinner. And so that's kind of was a nice incentive for me. And so that was the path that I decided to take with UCM.
What made you decide to get into journalism and public relations?
So, yeah, that's really interesting too, because, I think when you're making those decisions career wise, I wasn't really sure. I didn't even know that public relations was a profession, which is so silly for me to think back on now. But I remember very specifically a career day situation and meeting. Then it was Kim Allen. She was the marketing and communication director of the Missouri State Fair. And I remember sitting at a table with her and her explaining the role of what she did, a lot of event planning and writing and communicating and coordinating and those kinds of things. And I was like, wow, that's me. I do. And so it was just kind of this light that clicked for me. And so that's kind of set me on the public relations path. And I really thought that's absolutely 100% what I wanted to do. I mentioned the scholarship and the writing for the Mule Skinner, and that's when I got bit by that journalism bug. I got very involved with the Mule Skinner. I actually didn't change my program of study. So my major was public relations and my minor was journalism. But I actually ended up professionally doing it the other way. So I went into journalism. I was a newspaper reporter and loved that job. Journalism is just something I miss it. I think I'll always miss journalism. I always have that thought in my mind that one day maybe I'll return to something related to journalism because I just really loved the work that much. And so, yeah, it worked out that I had so many classes that overlapped that I was able to still stay on track with my program of study and earn both degrees, but then worked in journalism because I had all that great experience working at the Mule Skinner. And that led into the master's opportunity as well. So I did my grad assistantship as the managing editor of the Mule Skinner, which was a really wonderful opportunity. And then went to work at a newspaper when I was almost finished with my master's.
What led to your decision to go ahead and come back for the master's degree?
I think it was that opportunity for the grad assistantship. I loved working at the student newspaper. I really, really enjoyed that work, and an opportunity arose for that position. And so, in hindsight, I was like, wow, that was a really smart decision to make, for me to go ahead and get my master's. And I'm so grateful because that opened the door to where I am today. And I would have never, ever seen that opportunity really, to be teaching at a community college. That wasn't it wasn't a career goal for me, but I think careers aren't really linear. I think when we're in college, we think that they're very linear, and that really wasn't the case for me. And I think that's probably not the case for a lot of people. And so that master's degree really opened up, some doors for me that I didn't even know I would want to be opened later. But when I also think about it, master's work is right up my alley too, because I think I'm a lifetime learner. I think that's part of that journalism and being a lifetime learner. And so the master's work was good for me too. Good fit.
Yeah, our paths are so similar because I came from Sedalia. I came to UCM to study journalism and PR, and yeah, I'm like you. I was like, I don't think I'm quite ready yet. I don't think I'm quite done yet, and I've got this opportunity for a graduate assistantship. I think I want a master's at some point. Might as well go ahead and do it now while I can get it paid for. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing those opportunities that pop up out of that. And so you went from doing the masters, so you worked all that time during writing for the Meal Skinner, and you did the masters. You got your first job in journalism right after that. You worked in journalism and PR. Tell us a little bit about your professional career and what all you did there.
Sure. So I worked at the Sedalia Democrat. I actually ended up doing an internship there while, I was finishing up my master's work as well. And so that led into a full-time position. And I mean, it was just a great opportunity. At that time, the Democrat had a really nice sized staff. We were pretty robust in our coverage. We covered multi-county area. I was the city beat reporter, so I covered city government, city police, anything to do with that. But then, the beauty of working at a smaller newspaper, we also had the opportunity to do a variety of feature stories and, other kind of spot news and interest kind of pieces, and a lot of enterprise, those kinds of things. And so, I really had the opportunity to grow and develop there as a journalist. Had the opportunity to work with some really great editors who mentored me. And I remember pulling up a chair next to the city editor and watching her edit my story and learning so much, from those kinds of situations. And it was a wonderful career path. I can't tell you the number of times I will think about a story that I wrote or somebody that I interviewed, something that I learned from working at the newspaper. And being a hometown paper, you see the impact, I think, pretty quickly. If you mess something up, you have a phone call first thing in the morning. But equally, when you write something that makes a difference, that informs people in a way that they wouldn't have been informed before, and that starts a discussion, that it was just a really rewarding opportunity to work at a publication like that. So I'll always value my time there. I spent about 7 years, I think, working as a daily newspaper reporter. And ownership changed hands, at the paper that I worked at. And, I thought about a family and things like that. And I worked unreliable. I mean, I was kind of a maniac though. I don't know that I think that was maybe more me than what was expected, but I just really, if there was a story going on, I wanted to be there. And so I would work, odd hour. I mean, I really would. I would go if there was a fire, I would go. I mean, the copy desk would call me and they'd be like there, and I'd go, okay, I'm going. Um, And I don't know that that's necessarily the way that things are today, just because of staff. They just have smaller, shrinking staffs, we know, at smaller papers. I think the value is obviously still there. I'm a true believer, especially in community journalism. But yeah, it just kind of I had an opportunity to move into public relations in the healthcare field. And so our hospital was hiring for a community outreach coordinator. And I had been involved in doing some healthcare reporting. That was kind of one of those side beats, if you will. And it, I felt like if I was going to do something in public relations, I kind of wanted more of a nonprofit role, and our local hospital is a nonprofit, and I felt like health and wellness was like a really valuable thing to promote in our community. And so I did that for about 5 years. I think I worked in healthcare marketing. And again, I mean, I just feel like I really lucked out career wise with one rewarding thing after the other. And I know I'm lucky because I don't know how many people feel that way all the time about every job they have. But I really truly have enjoyed every role that I have had professionally. I mean, maybe that's the career path, right? Maybe it's communication, because I think we are really fortunate to get into all kinds of different components with the roles that we serve. And we're able to kind of find those career paths that align with our personal interests in some ways too. And that makes it really rewarding as well. So I kind of I really enjoyed that work too. But then a position at the college opened, and I had taught as an adjunct when I worked at the newspaper. So the folks at State Fair Community College had found out that I had a master's degree. And they said, "Oh my gosh, will you teach a few classes for us?" And so on my lunch break, I started doing that and really enjoyed it. I hadn't thought of myself as an educator in any way, shape, or form, but there I had another opportunity. So yeah.
I like how you put that career paths aren't necessarily linear. And then that, with communication, if you can speak well, if you can write well, you're not going to want for work because people are looking for those communicators. And the way you put it that, with our career, just you find your niche, find that area you want to get into, and you take those skills and you can apply them. And that's so important. And it's something I think that more people need to understand is, yeah, you can get a degree in about anything, but a degree in communication is so versatile. You can go so many routes with it. As case in point, you're able to do
Yes.
that. So,
Yeah.
so you said you never really thought about the higher ed track. When that opportunity came about, what made you jump on it and say, "Yeah, I think I want to do that"?
I think it was that experience as an adjunct, because so I actually started teaching composition, which is crazy to me now that I think about it. But I mean, it was good. It was good, but I when they had me teach my first public speaking class, I said, "Oh, this is fun." It really was, again, rewarding, to work with a group of students and see them develop their skills and see them put in the work. I mean, it's them. They put in the work, and
Hmm.
they do the work, and you just see this different version of them by the end of the course, which I think is incredible. And I think we're really lucky to see students develop skills in that way. But I enjoyed teaching that class so much that I said, if they ever had a full-time position open, it would be silly for me not to try that. And they did, and I, jumped right into it. And really, I I love it. And I think it's because, again, that love of the discipline, and I think that communication skills are so valuable and important personally and professionally. And I'm interested in constantly learning too, about how, I mean, like, think about how much communication has evolved just with digital
Oh yeah.
media technology. It's crazy, every aspect of our lives. And, to be able to continue to study in that way, I think is really great too. So that's what led me into higher education. I don't know that at first I thought like, what am I doing? But I've been there 11 years now, teaching full time. And it suits me, I think. And I think that my professional experience gives something for me to offer to students as well. And so, I draw on those experiences that I had professionally all the time, for in the classroom. And so, I really value, kind of that meandering that I took, to get where I am today.
Well, and I think students really appreciate that too. We hear that all the time that, they want a professor who's done it, who's been there. And, it's been a while since I've been in that field. I mean, I think I'm in my 19th year of teaching, and so it's been a hot minute since I've been in the field, but still trying to stay current. And that's why we do the research. And
Mhm.
having somebody who's been in the trenches really can bring something to the classroom. So you've been there, you said 11 years, and now you're the program coordinator for digital media communication. And because of that, and your connections with UCM, we've been able to forge ahead with this articulation agreement where students will take classes at State Fair. Um, we already have the general education courses would transfer straight through, but major courses become kind of questionable from time to time unless you work through these things. We've done that. I'm so excited to be able to continue working with you all and working with the students from State Fair. How do you feel that's going to benefit students as we go down the road?
Yeah, I think it's great because anytime you can make, that transfer seamless, which I mean, I think that the state of Missouri has gone a long way, with the Core 42 and, those transferring, your general education credits, to any public institution in the state. And so I think that's wonderful too. But I think part of it too is that it allows students to really get in a little bit more into their area of interest, their area of study, which can be, if you're slugging through those gen eds, and you're going, why do I have to learn this math? You need some sprinkling of that
For
discipline
sure,
that you
yeah.
love, right? Like, and then you get into a comm class and you're like, yes, this is, I think it helps to sustain motivation. And so the more that I think students can have some of those introductory communication classes before they transfer, the better. But the gold is when they can get credit for that in their program of study. So it, there's not a lot of redundancy.
Yeah.
I think that students get really frustrated if they take a class somewhere and then they transfer and they aren't going to receive credit for that class. And so I think that's one of the reasons it's wonderful for us to have worked out our articulation agreement and make that more seamless for students.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you talk about slogging through the gen eds that we hear so many times. Why do I have to take college algebra? Why do I have to take comps? That's not what I want to get into. It's because we want students to be well-rounded and be well read. But yeah, if you can't take classes in what it is you want to do professionally, I could see where that would become a drain and a burden. So sprinkling that in there a little bit, I like the way you put that. And definitely it's going to be a way for students to get a head start, and get fed right into it. So, well, Sarah,
Absolutely.
thank you for being with us today. So, my last question, this is what I ask all of my guests is you've been there, you've been through the program, you're out there doing it professionally. What advice would you have for a current UCM student as they're going through the program? And what advice would you have for somebody thinking about UCM for either their undergraduate or their master's degree?
Yeah, I think for students, my best advice is to get involved. So, get start now. I mean, and I think there's a variety of ways to do that. Obviously, get involved with the on-campus publications, and be involved in that way. I think there are other ways too. If there's different clubs, organizations on campus, I think all of those, and in fact, like a variety of things, really will benefit you in the long run. Get involved with your professors. Get to ask questions, get to, like, their resource outside of the classroom. I think sometimes students are just so intimidated that they don't, but the connections that I made with some of my professors helped me to get to the next
Yeah.
thing, and then the next. And I still, my mentor, Dr. Fair at UCM, I feel like is in my corner. He's there for me, and it turned into a lifelong friendship. And
Hmm.
um, I, I, I think you've got to make those connections and get involved,
Yeah, we have
and start.
contacts too. There's
Yes,
people we know that we can get you in touch with.
absolutely, and I think that don't be afraid to build those relationships, I guess is what I'm saying. And to get involved in and start working on your portfolio now, because that's really what employers want to see is what can you do. And so having, some of the stuff, when I look back at maybe some of the very first things that I produced as a journalist, I'm like, ooh,
Am I
and
right
so
that?
yes, I know. And then, but then I come across some pieces a little bit later and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, hey, now, like, okay, right. So I think you want to try to get to that point, and you have to do the work, produce the work in order to get there, right? And so whether it's writing for your local paper on the weekends, or doing some contract based digital media work, or what have you. I think building that portfolio now is really, really important.
Yeah.
So I think that's my best advice to current students for sure.
What about somebody who's thinking, you got a state fair student, they're trying to decide where they're going to go after this, or you know somebody who's has a bachelor's degree and they're thinking about a master's. Would you tell them?
Yeah, I think anytime you can reach the next level of education, you're never going to regret it. I think it's an investment that will, for me, I look back and I don't know that I really knew what I was doing. I just kind of had some dumb luck, and that investment paid off. But I, I could definitely say today, if somebody was interested in getting that master's degree, I would strongly encourage them to do it because it will be an investment. So there will be a way that opens a door, an opportunity, some potential there. You may have an idea for that now. Maybe you aren't exactly sure, but that master's degree is going to serve you in some way. And so I think I have a former student who is interested in the master's program even too. And I was like, yes, do it, because it really is a great investment in yourself and your future.
Yeah, I saw something the other day it was a chart that was showing the unemployment rate and how exponentially it just decreases the higher up your education level is. And then like with a bachelor's degree, I think it's you can make between 600,000 and 900,000 more over your lifetime. That's with the bachelor's. With the master's, it jumps up even more. So, yeah, it's an investment. I like the way you put that. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. I'm so looking forward to continuing working with you with our articulations, with our state fair students. And thank you for everything you're doing in education. We're proud of you. You're doing some great stuff.
Thank you.
And thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks to Jake Mager, as always, for creating our theme music. Again, this is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.